Have you ever been in a conversation where you just felt like you were being talked at and not really talked with? It happens all the time, right? Especially in healthcare. When a pharmacist is explaining a new medication, there's often this huge gap between what they're saying and what a patient actually hears and remembers. Well, today, we're going to dig into a framework that's designed to close that gap for good. This phrase right here, it actually comes from pharmacists themselves, describing their old way of doing things. And it just perfectly captures how a patient can feel in that kind of one-sided conversation. You feel passive, you feel unheard, basically like a bucket they're pouring information into, not an active partner in your own health. Okay, so let's dive into this because it's a super common problem in healthcare. We're talking about the traditional approach, which, let's be honest, often turns into a monologue. You've got the expert talking and the patient just listening. But as we're about to see, that is not the best way to make sure someone truly gets it and sticks with their treatment. And this just lays it out so clearly. On the left, you've got the old way, the directive monologue. It's one-way traffic, it's all about giving instructions, and it's totally pharmacist-focused. But on the right, that's the goal. A collaborative dialogue. It's a two-way street, it's patient-focused, and it's all about designing solutions together. The whole game is about getting from the left side to the right. So the big question is, how do you actually build that bridge from a monologue to a real dialogue, especially in a busy pharmacy where, the clock is always ticking? Well, the answer isn't just try to be nicer. It actually takes a clear, structured process that anyone can learn and use every single day. And here is that solution. It's a framework called Connect 6. Honestly, you can think of it like a playbook for pharmacists. It's a 6-step tool that takes all this proven behavioral science, stuff like motivational interviewing, and boils it down into a practical, step-by-step workflow that makes every conversation truly about the patient. All right, let's get into the framework itself and see exactly how it helps build a better conversation. We're going to walk through all 6 steps one by one to really understand the thinking behind them and how they work in the real world. So, from a 30,000-foot view, the whole framework breaks down into 3 main phases. It all starts with building a genuine connection. Then you move into the middle part, which they call the collaborative core. That's where the real teamwork happens. And it all wraps up with a solid commitment to a plan. So first up, and this is absolutely crucial, is step 1, connect. And look, this is way more than just a quick hello. The whole point here is to intentionally build trust and empathy right from the get-go. You're trying to create this psychologically safe space where the patient feels comfortable enough to be totally honest. Now just look at this example. This isn't just showing you're listening, it's an affirmation. The pharmacist is reflecting back what they heard and, more importantly, acknowledging the patient's hard work. A simple sentence like that, it validates their experience and can build trust in an instant. Okay, next up is clarify. Once you've got that foundation of trust, the goal here is to play detective. You're trying to figure out what's really getting in the way. Is it something they believe about their illness? Or is it a simple logistical thing, like they just forget to take their meds? This step is all about uncovering the real why behind the problem. And here's what that looks like in action. It's a perfect example of reflective listening. The pharmacist isn't judging or immediately correcting them. Nope, they're just holding up a mirror to what the patient believes. This confirms they've understood, and it totally opens the door for a real conversation about how the medicine is supposed to work. Now, step 3, coach. This is where the education happens, but it completely flips the script on how it's done. Instead of just launching into a lecture, the pharmacist asks for permission to share information. It sounds like a small thing, but that little change turns a one-way command into a collaborative moment of learning. It's a total game changer. And this is just a brilliant example of coaching with a simple analogy. It's not complicated medical jargon. It's a powerful image that sticks with you. The brown inhaler is a protector. It prevents fires. The blue one is a fire extinguisher. It puts out the fires that are already burning. Boom. It just clicks. It empowers the patient with knowledge they can actually use. Now, before you even think about making a plan, you have to do this next step. Check. This is just a quick gut check to see where the patient is at. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this change to them? And how confident are they that they can pull it off? This stops the pharmacist from pushing a plan on someone who just isn't ready for it. This right here is such a classic and honestly genius motivational technique. By asking why a 7 and not a 3, you force the patient to start talking about their own reasons for wanting to change. They literally start selling themselves on the idea, which is way, way more powerful than any lecture you could ever give. So now we get to the create step. And the key word here is together. The solution doesn't come from the pharmacist's notepad. It's co-designed with the patient. Because think about it, when someone helps build the plan themselves, their sense of ownership just skyrockets, and so do the chances they'll actually stick to it. And notice the subtle but really powerful language here. The pharmacist is offering options, not giving orders. This frames the patient as the expert on their own life and as the architect of their own solution. It's a simple question of which of these might work, not a command of you must do this. All right, and the final step, commit. This is where you lock in that plan you designed together. It's all about turning a good idea into a concrete action plan, getting that verbal I'll do it, and making sure they know you'll be there to follow up and support them. This final affirmation is so important. What it's really doing is building up the patient's belief in their own ability to succeed. It's that final dose of encouragement that sends them out the door feeling empowered and ready to take control. It's the perfect way to end the conversation. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? It makes sense. But the big question is always, does it actually work? In the real world, does this structured approach really make pharmacists better communicators? Well, to find out, researchers set up a study. They got 27 pharmacists from different hospitals and clinics in Selangor, Malaysia, and they trained them on this exact Connect 6 framework to see what would happen. And the results were pretty stunning. After just a single 60-minute training session on this framework, the pharmacist's skill scores in patient-centered communication almost doubled. They jumped from an average of about 9.7 all the way up to 17. I mean, that is a huge improvement from a very short training. So what's the big takeaway here? After looking at all of this, why does making the shift from a monologue to a dialogue really matter so much, especially in a place like a pharmacy? At the end of the day, what the Connect 6 framework really proves is that great communication isn't just some fuzzy, nice-to-have soft skill. It's a trainable, measurable skill that people can actually learn. It shows us that by deciding to shift from just talking at people to truly talking with them, we can literally transform healthcare, one conversation at a time.